So I wanted to give a bit of a review here about this Congressman Ronnie Jackson in a little tiny little mini series I want to do about drugs in the White House and the long-standing tradition of autocrats, especially to use stimulants and depressants whenever necessary to help pick them up and help get them some sleep. It's been true for a long time. Dr. Ronnie Jackson here is part of the reason, but the other part of the reason is supply and demand. When people want drugs, they find them. And, you've had a couple different Republican congressmen come out and talk about drug parties and drug orgies. I remember the one congressman that was in a wheelchair, and he ended up getting expelled. Did he get kicked out? He kind of did. And anyway, of course, we all know about Elon Musk and ketamine. But this was the Pentagon report came out. It was a big bombshell at the time. Ex-White House doctor known as the Candyman dispensed pills without prescription. Yeah. So, a former White House doctor was allegedly nicknamed the Candyman for handing out pills to staff without prescriptions. Ronnie Jackson courted influence among staff in the administrations of President Barack Obama and Donald Trump by dispensing drugs and health care while ignoring medical procedures, the Washington Post reports. Former members of the White House medical unit claimed that under Dr. Jackson's leadership, they had handed out stimulants and sedatives without prescriptions and faked staff members' identities to give them free health care. Must be nice, huh? They claimed the practices had been shaped by Dr. Jackson, now a Republican congressman, who was given the nicknames Dr. Feelgood and the Candyman. This isn't a partisan issue, it's a Ronnie Jackson issue, a former colleague in the medical unit said, claiming the physician had disregarded medical standards to satisfy powerful people. It was bad under Obama, and it got much worse under Trump, they added. It comes after a Pentagon report found that there were severe and systemic problems in the medical unit, along with flouting federal regulations and dispensing drugs among the White House staff. It concluded that the team had failed to keep proper records of its supplies of fentanyl, a powerful and addictive opioid, probably so they could have plausible deniability. Members of the unit denied prescribing fentanyl, here we go, claiming that it was kept on hand for emergencies instead. Of course it was. God, the fentanyl, the scourge that's fentanyl. That's the reason for the fucking tariffs is fentanyl, yet your White House was full of it. Oh, is anybody surprised at the hypocrisy? I'm not. Members of the unit denied. Interviewed last month, Dr. Jackson said the White House lawyers had signed off on his medical decisions and that the team prescribed narcotics less than 5 times during his tenure. Describing the medical unit in 2022, he wrote, "It was full-blown, over-the-top concierge executive medicine, and we did it better than anybody else on the planet. As a result, everyone treated me and my team very well." I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did, Dr. Jackson. I'm sure they fucking did. The entire medical unit had a special place in the hierarchy of the White House. I had a lot more to offer than any other doctor they had ever had before, and they needed me close by. Oh, Dr. Jackson. Oh, I'm sorry, he's no longer a doctor. Interesting. I'll tell you why in a second. The Pentagon report also found the unit squandered taxpayer money buying branded drugs instead of low-cost generic equivalents. We all know that brand name drugs are better than generics. We all know that. But the medical establishment keeps telling us, no, that's not. They're exactly the same. They're not. We know that. They wasted $100,000 just on buying Ambien, Provigil, and the sleeping drug Sonata between 2018 and 2019, it found. Dr. Jackson has been approached for comment. It doesn't mention what he said when he was approached for comment. Very interesting. So Dr. Jackson ended up resigning his position as staff doctor after this bombshell report came out, and investigation was started into him, and he gave up his position, and he's no longer a doctor because he said that it was taking away from Trump's agenda, and he didn't want to be a distraction. Interesting. Very interesting, I think. Stay tuned. I'm going to do a video on ketamine next. And the specific side effects found in study after study, they are incredibly eye-opening.